G'day guys, Shawnee from Life and Tennis. Now you may have noticed there's been a notable absence of videos on my channel since November last year, I believe. So yeah, look, there's no excuses other than I just had a very busy Christmas and New Year's period, and then after that I had a little bit of a rethink about my channel and what sort of content I wanted to deliver to you guys. But don't worry, never fear. There's going to be plenty of exciting content for you guys throughout the rest of the year, and hopefully some really interesting interviews as well. But yeah, I thought I'd kick off 2025 with a video about Daniil Medvedev and whether or not the game is passing him by. Now, I wrote a piece about Daniil Medvedev on the First Serve website, which I'll put as a link in the description below for you guys to read if you'd like. But yeah, to summarize that article, essentially I've been noticing that Medvedev's form hasn't been great lately for his lofty standards. And that might seem like quite a harsh assessment, but if you look at his results over the last year, he's been losing to players that he doesn't normally lose to. You know, players like Yuri Lehechka, Alexei Popyrin, Felix Auger-Aliassime twice. You know, there's a number of others, and so far this year, he hasn't covered himself in glory either. He went out to, famously Lerner Tien in the second round of the Australian Open, as well as he's had losses to Matai Bellucci, Hamad Medvedev, hope I'm pronouncing that name right, both of whom I think are either just outside or just inside the top 100, and then he's had losses to Talon Griekspoor most recently in 3 tight sets. So yeah, just some of these players that you just wouldn't normally see Medvedev lose to, particularly on hard court. And to me, it points to, I would be a little bit concerned if I was in Medvedev's camp right now. I know, he's, I think, ahead of the Marseille Open, or the Open 13 in Marseille, France. He spoke about how his results actually aren't as bad as they seem, because last year he was still making, semi-finals and quarterfinals and things like that. Didn't win a title. Or maybe I'm holding him to too high of a standard, given that he's basically averaged 2 or 3 titles a year from about 2018 to 2023. So yeah, it's the first sign of a little bit of a form slump, and maybe not so much just a form slump, but his game style itself might not stack up against some of the top guys now. And like, if you look at the rise of Alcaraz and Sinner, those guys are just such aggressive, hard hitters, and Medvedev is still very much that counter-punchy sort of defensive player. Probably the most consistent player on tour without a shadow of a doubt, but he doesn't necessarily have, even Novak, for example, even Djokovic was able to at least, finish points off. I remember someone once describing Novak to me as like a brick wall that's closing in, and to me that's the perfect explanation of his game, because even though he is a very consistent player, what you'll find with Novak is he always goes for big margins at the start of a match, but then as a match goes on, that's when he starts like ripping winners down the line, just getting closer and closer to the lines, and he just has so much confidence in his game that he just knows he's not going to miss. Whereas with Medvedev, he just seems to have the same approach throughout the whole match, the same kind of level, where even though, yes, he's still getting lots of balls back, he won't necessarily be, like ripping winners or, like shortening points. Like, he'll still be like grinding out the rally for as long as he can until he's basically ground his opponent down, or until they've started to out-hit him. And that worked for him for quite a long period of time, and it's just starting to not work as well as it has in the past. As I said, as evidenced by particularly Alcaraz and Sinner. And I think for someone like Medvedev, if I was on his team right now, I would be looking at, of all people, Stefanos Tsitsipas, and what he's recently done to his game, and trialing a new racket, which from all sources seems to be a Babolat Pure Aero 98, even though it still has the Wilson stencil painted on in black. I think from all the research I've done and all the whispers around the traps, it seems pretty obvious that he is using a Babolat, especially given the power that he's getting on his shots. And he basically went a whole week at Dubai just like spanking forehands and backhands, and I've never seen him hit his backhand as hard as he did during the Dubai tournament, where he won his first ATP 500 event. So clearly that's working for Tsitsipas, especially given that he was in a similar position, where had gone through maybe a little bit of a form slump, or maybe, again, the game had been passing him by. You know, he made comments about this at the Oz Open after his loss against Alex Michelson, where he basically referenced 2018 as, you know, the game has changed a lot since then, and he never felt like he had to like fully exceed himself to get good results. He used Novak as an example, where even though Novak was an amazing player, he didn't feel like he had to like, go above his level. Whereas I think he basically said he felt like recently that he just didn't have, you know, the game to match it with these guys. So clearly changing his racket or trialing this new racket has paid dividends for him very, very quickly, and I think that Medvedev could do something very, very similar. But yeah, guys, very, very keen to hear your thoughts and your feedback on this. I know that Medvedev is very much a polarizing figure. You know, not everyone loves him, and some people love to hate him, but it's pretty hard to deny he's been one of the dominant forces on the tour, particularly on hardcourt over the last, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 years. And you know, he's a great personality on tour. You know, he's one of those players that, like, you just never know what to expect with him in terms of, you know, drama or things he might say. And I think that's actually good for the sport. And just watching him, it's, you know, if you're a coach coaching a young kid coming up, you would look to Medvedev as someone that just is such a mentally tough player to just get past. You know, there's so many lessons you can learn from watching his game. But yeah, keen to hear what you guys think, what your feedback is. And as always, guys, please like and subscribe for more life and tennis related content. Cheers, guys.